What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday night. It's your boys. It's Flyers Talk A2D. After a week off, we're back. We got some pretty good stuff to talk about. We got rookie camp just wrapped up. We got training camp starting on Thursday. Ivan Fedotov, no longer a Flyer, traded to Columbus. And we got the latest on Carter Hart and what's going on with him. So make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe. Jump in the chat if you want to know what we're talking about. We definitely want to hear what you're talking about. So let's go talk some puck. Time to start the conversation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sinsudi, along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What up?
The Broken One, Rob Povia.
What's up, people? It's almost October.
Almost. And we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you got any aches and pains that are bugging you, go see the doc. Don't waste time. Make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com and then head on over to Cherry Hill of Burlington, New Jersey. After a couple of sessions with them, you'll feel as good as new. The aches and pains ain't going to be bugging you no more. And you'll feel pretty good after that one, I would have to think, both mentally and physically. You know, just nothing like physical pain to bring your mental fortitude down. So it'll give you everything back. And our poll question for today, the Flyers will have a strong training camp, which will lead to a strong start to the season. Obviously, the Flyers still much a young and up-and-coming team in the NHL. And obviously, there's a lot of young players, young pups who are trying to earn themselves a spot on the roster. And naturally, that's going to breed competition, and sometimes competition breeds the best out of everybody. So that could lead to some very positive results at the beginning of the year. Also, there is something to be said on the other hand of inexperience, where you could struggle because you're inexperienced and you're learning the ropes. And obviously training camp's going to be different than, the regular season. Preseason is different by any standard because, you're not facing the regular roster. Sure, you might face a pro here and there, but for the most part, you're dealing with their prospects. So with that being said, knowing both sides of the argument, gentlemen, do you agree or disagree? Do you think that having a strong training camp in the case of the Flyers will lead to strong starts here in the season with the Flyers in October and November and such?
No, absolutely. 100%. There's only a couple of holes that really need to be filled, so the competition is going to be fierce for those final roster spots. But I 100% agree that it's gonna lead to a strong start. You got new coach, new system, bunch of new players that are not going to hinder this team by any stretch whatsoever. To Swoopy's point, Barkey's looking good already. So there's a lot to be excited about for this team, and we've been saying it all offseason. With Zegras, Dvorak on board, you got a couple of guys who are ready to take the next step here, and there's just so much to be excited about. I absolutely think with Tocchet running the new camp and already having an idea of what his roster is going to look like, you already kind of have an idea of what his system's going to look like. There's just I'm excited to get things going here on Thursday, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year.
Let's go.
What about you, Robbie?
Well, I think I have to agree. How in good conscience could I disagree with this poll as a Flyers fan, right? But what kind of camp will it be? That's the real question. Will it mirror the hardworking camps under Torts, where guys were torn down, got their asses handed to them, only to be built back up? Or will it build upon that level of conditioning and look to further advance the skill set and the hockey IQ, especially as young guys battle for roster spots and vets alike. So I think all in all, I side with B. I think that's what the evolution here is in Philadelphia.
All right, all right. I'm gonna say agree. I think that if you have a strong training camp for a young roster like this, it's one thing that if you have a roster where the prospect pool is maybe not as deep, or it's a team that's regularly in the playoffs. Normally, you're just waiting for the vets to just get into the swing of things to get the season going, and sometimes they don't really appear for much besides maybe one preseason game. And a lot of times that can get you off to a slow start. This happens sometimes with teams that are routinely in the playoffs, but they usually rear back around later on and they get themselves back under control. And before you know it, when we hit the All-Star break, they're back into a playoff position and usually pretty secure in it. For the Flyers, it's different. This is a young team. This is a young roster. There's a lot of passion, obviously, and there's a lot of desire to be on the roster and to actually be in a Philadelphia Flyers jersey, not necessarily wearing this. Not that this is a bad thing to have this. It's just that you would much rather be, on that team that I have sitting on the archway. There we go. I'm pointing at it now. Anyway, the point being is that with this young team, if they do have a strong training camp and they have a solid preseason, I do think that will result in positives at the beginning of the year. How long those positives will go, we'll see. Young teams, they start out with fire, and then you go through your slumps, and then if you can pick yourself back up, that's going to really define you. That's the main thing. Is okay, you get off to that hot start, you're looking good. When you hit that valley, question is, okay, how long's this valley? How deep is it? Is it deep enough to sink a season early, or is it enough to where, okay, they're learning, they're growing, they're going through their rough patch, and then they have that ascend back up. And then if they can keep themselves kind of not plateaued, but at least keep themselves steady, they should be okay. But that's, that's the ebb and flow of a season normally. So,
Yeah.
I will say agree. I think if they have a strong training camp, I think the beginning of the season in October and November, I think it will look pretty good for the Flyers.
Yeah, and you also got to think about all the guys that have been on this roster since the last time that they were in the playoffs. These guys are chomping at the bit to get there, and they're tired of sitting home. They want to compete for a cup. Konechny, Couturier, Sanheim, all them guys. They want to get there probably more than the rookies do. I think the rookies are if they're smart, they're going to take this step by step. They're going to just work on making their roster. They're going to work on at least being good enough to make the AHL so they can have an opportunity should an injury arise or anything like that. Or, personal performances outweighing somebody else on the pro roster, and you can make the switch should there need to be one. But mostly, these vets they're chomping at the bit to get back to the playoffs, and they want to bring a cup back here to Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's definitely something that, is going to be motivating to them and motivating to the roster in general. So, getting into the training camp itself, I did take a look at the preseason schedule earlier today. I noticed that the Islanders are the first team that we're going to be up against. Ironically enough, we're going to be facing the Canadians, which is interesting. And we'll actually be heading to Montreal for that. Which is interesting. It's as interesting as when they were heading up to Boston for a preseason matchup. So one thing I noted too, there's a lot of road games, not as much at home so far, at least for the preseason from what I'm seeing. But I only looked at it briefly. So looking at it, how do you guys feel about like them kind of traveling a little bit more during the preseason? Do you think that it's a big deal, or do you think that it really doesn't matter since the squad is so fluid most of the time?
I mean, I don't necessarily see it as a big deal. I mean, it's just preseason. A lot of these guys are just going to be focused on, what they need to do shift by shift to give the coaching staff the best evaluations that they possibly can. So these guys, I don't think are going to make the traveling part a big deal. Should it be, a constant thing in the season, yeah, it might turn into a little bit of a bigger deal. But I mean, these guys aren't traveling too far for the most part. You're going to New York, Montreal. It is a little bit more of a drive, but Devils, Capitals, it's not a far drive, but sometimes being on the road like that can take a toll. But for the most part, I don't really see it being much of a bother for these guys. They're just going to focus on, especially the young guys, they're going to focus on, doing what they need to do to make the roster.
Yeah.
57 players coming in to this camp, so it's going to be exciting.
All right, let me see if I can pull that up. There we go.
Okay. Here, let me get the poll off of there. All right, there we go. So, yeah, we got quite a nice look here at the roster. There's Abels at the top, who had a cup of coffee with the Flyers last year. Played what looks like 22 games on the roster, which, good for him. And in that time, he did show up on the score sheet, so that's good. Barkey, of course, that's going to be a big one to highlight right there is Barkey. As Swoopy said, looking good. So it's very exciting. Obviously, last year, the OHL, 50 games, 25 goals, 57 assists, 82 points. That is, wow. That is pretty damn good. So, big highlight there for Barkey. Sawyer Bolton. Bobby Brink, who of course has been with the Flyers, Alex Bump, and obviously Bump is going to be another one that people are going to be looking at. Noah Cates, who of course has played for the Flyers the last few seasons, Coots, Delurier, and let's see, is that Duart? Yeah, it's Duart, who. Oh, I did not realize he actually played a few games with the Flyers. Interesting.
Yeah, he played at the end of the year last year after he signed his ELC once the college season wrapped up.
That's right. Let's see here.
Same with Kaplan too.
Okay. So Christian Dvorak, who was signed this past offseason, Oscar Eklund, and then we have Tyson Forster. Of course, big year for that. Everybody's expecting out of him. So we'll see what we get from Forster. Have every bit of faith in him. And let's see, Matthew Gard, Jacob Gaucher, what is that? Alexis Gendron, Nikita Grebekin, who obviously there's a little bit of interest there. He played 7 games, so it would be interesting to see how he does going into this training camp. Hathaway, Kaplan, as you mentioned earlier, Bry had his cup of coffee with the Flyers. Actually, I wouldn't even say he finished the cup because it was only 1 game, but still, at the end of the day, he at least got to wear the orange and black jersey. TK. Luchenko, another one that's going to be a big look at for this training camp after what he had done last year. And then Cooper Malady, Mitch. And then we have Jack Nesbitt. And let's see, Lane Peterson.
He looked really good at rookie camp over the course of the past 5 days, wrapping up today, too. He's him and the Swedish prospect, Jack Berglund, man. He's shooting, just soaring up the prospect pool list here for Philadelphia Flyers.
Nice. Let's see here. And Nesbitt let's see, what was his stats last year in the OHL? 65 games, 25 goals, 39 assists, 64 points. Not bad at all. Let's see. Len Peterson, Nathan Quinn, and then we have Anthony Richard, who did play with the Flyers for about 15 games, it looks like. So Massimo Rizzo. There was a little bit of interest in Rizzo. I don't know, mostly out of the trade. Let's see, Tucker Robertson, Owen Tippett. Of course, a lot of people are expecting something from him now. Samu Talamala, who I would like to see if he could make the roster. That would be nice to see. Garrett Wilson. And I don't see the final name. Hold on a second. I'll have to take off the ticker. And just for a sec.
Where'd you leave off?
It's at the very bottom. The ticker's blocking it.
I got Garrett Wilson, Zayd Wisdom, and Trevor Zegras.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Bri.
Zayd hanging on too, man. I always got love for Zayd Wisdom. Tremendous story, and he keeps fighting.
Yeah. And, you kind of hope that maybe he does have a game with the Flyers, and hopefully, he can make that dream come true.
There's a...
I mean, it's looking fleeting at this point, but you never know. I mean, you have guys like that step up later on in their career and fill a role, and that's certainly something that I think Wisdom can do.
Right. I mean, even if he only plays like 10 or 12 games, it's just like, hey, at least he managed to get on the roster at one point. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you'd want him to make a huge impact, but if he's not going to, it's like, hey, at least he could say he was wearing an orange and black jersey and it was legitimate. So,
right. Sure. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of intriguing names on here that are going to make some noise for roster spots. But like I said, there's not really a whole lot of spots. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 spots that are going to be up for grabs. And that 3 is really stretching it. But I mean, Rodrigo Abels is going to be one of those guys. Bump, Barkey, probably Gabrinkin, who looked really good in the rookie games, by the way. He had a few points in those 2 games. I think he had both assists in the loss to the Rangers. But Gabrinkin, I think, is going to be a guy who's going to get a serious look, as he should. He's been in the league a couple of years. He's very good friends with Mitch Kopp, so could be something really good for both of these guys. But, I mean, Anthony Richard should not be overlooked because in his 17 games last year, he did look very good for the Flyers. He does have, I think it was like 6 points or something like that. A couple goals, handful of assists. And then the other guy that Maddie brought up who I think is going to get another serious look too is going to be Tuamala, one of the only all-stars from the Phantoms last year. And just a guy who's showing that, you can put the puck in the net. So I think that's going to be something that the Flyers are going to really need to look at is really creative ways to try and create some offense here and, get the power play back on track and get the 5-on-5 back on track and really just make this season as much fun for the fans as they possibly can.
All right. Right. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, there's definitely, like you said, there's a lot of intriguing names there. There's a lot of intrigue of, like players coming in who can make an impact, and some of the younger players that had made a bit of an impact when they were around. Lachenko, for an example, the possibility of, them being a little bit more prominent this go around, that could really help kind of bolster this team moving forward towards, heading north of where they were last year in the standings. Let's see here. Got Priz saying, what's the odds Zegras plays good or great until the deadline, fixes his face-offs, and the Habs still needing a second center? Would y'all entertain Zegras for Jacob Fowler, goaltender? Only ask because recent Flyers goalie news.
Nope, not at all. If Zegras plays well and he fixes his face-offs, why trade him? If he's playing well and he's putting up the points and they're in a playoff spot, why trade him? They're thin enough at center. I mean, I think the goaltenders are going to be good enough to get them to back to the playoffs. But do either of those goaltenders set the world on fire? Absolutely not. But Flyers are thin at center as it is. They're not going to trade another center, or at least somebody that can play center. I just don't see it happening. If anything, if he's playing well enough, they're going to re-sign him. That's what I think anyway.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Little addendum to the roster too, and we'll get to the defensemen and goaltenders here in a second. But Jack, aforementioned Jack Berglund, as well as Porter Martone, Shane Van Saggy, all committed to NCAA college programs. So that's why we didn't see their names pop up on that list. And but Jetlichenko is going to be a hot topic, boys, because they tried to push to get that early exception for the Canadian Hockey League for this season. I don't think that's gaining much traction. I think it's still set to begin for 26-27, which really leaves Lachenko in no man's land. I mean, he can still improve. I mean, there is still room to grow at the OHL level, but a lot of people think that it's NHL roster time for Jetlichenko. And I have a tendency to agree, especially depending on team needs and I think he can fill that. What do you guys feel about Jetlichenko's chances here in training camp?
I would say I think that they're actually pretty good. I think him having a taste of what it being in the orange and black last year, having an opportunity to play almost, I think, did he not play the full limit of games before they sent him back down to the OA?
No, he missed it by like one game.
Still, though, it was almost the full amount. So I think that if anything, it probably got his mouth watered, and I think that he's more than ready to try and make that big leap into the orange and black jersey. I mean, does that guarantee it? No, but I think that he will definitely have a really good shot of making the roster because he played really well last year for that short period he was here. I mean, he was very creative, I felt, and I felt that he was very fast, and him and Mitchkov actually worked pretty well together. So I would argue and say that, I think his opportunity would be pretty high. I mean, was it a guarantee? There's no guarantee, but I think they're high. I don't know about you guys, but I feel that way.
Hey, if you want a guarantee, I'll shit in a box and slap a guarantee on it, right?
Oh, that's a great movie. Great quote, by the way.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think Jet. Some people will say otherwise, but I think Jet's pretty much a shoo-in to get at least in the extended look here before sending him down to the AHL. I do think a little bit of time in the AHL will be beneficial for him, but I don't think he's going to be down there all season long. He looked pretty good in his little sample size last year in the AHL during their little playoff run. So I don't see him being down there for a long time, barring any injuries. I think Jet's basically a shoo-in. Because you can do a couple of different things with Dvorak, you can do a couple of different things with Zegras, so that could potentially open up a center spot to let him get some third line minutes. But if he can't find at least top 9 minutes for Jet, let him play as much as he can down in Lehigh Valley, where he's going to get the first line minutes. So
right,
it depends on how everything kind of shakes out, but I do like his chances. I do think he does get an extended look, but ultimately, I do think he winds up down the AHL depending on how the roster shapes out.
I got you. How you feeling on it, Robbie?
I think he does. I think at this point, I think it's going to be a high competition to you, despite the position difference between him and Bump on who makes this team. And I do see a world where both of them do, and people will attack me on that and be like, well, then who sits or whatever. And I said that you could take a guy like Dvorak and yes, play him a majority of the time, but then healthy scratch him here and there, keep him fresh, right? Get playing time for some of these guys to where you could then maybe, if someone's not playing well, demote him to the AHL at that point, to your point, Brian, right? Mm-hmm. But I really feel, based on what we saw in development camp, what we saw earlier this week in rookie camp, right? It's just set up for these two young kids to just have a fabulous training camp. And that's what I foresee. And I foresee both of them making this roster now.
So, hey, Chucks, what's going on, brother?
What up, Chucks?
So let's take a look here and see what we have with some of the comments here that I starred. Catch us up with the fam here. Um, and I believe is Jason A team. I think that's the first time I'm seeing him. Has he been here before or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah,
He
I've
has
seen
been.
him a couple times. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, what's up, Jason? I don't know if I have, but hey, nice to meet you. Um,
What up, brother?
a- and he was saying, "What's the deal with Porter Martone?" And I believe that was one of the names that was committed to the NCAA.
Mhm.
So that is where he is going.
He is a
Um,
Michigan State Spartan, so that'll be. I mean, honestly, just you're talking about playing with. Now you can get up and play with guys upwards to 22, 23 years old, right?
right.
That and just further maturate there on the collegiate level, as we saw with what's his name with Penn State.
Gavin McKenna.
McKenna, yeah.
Yep.
And then he also goes on to say, so we draft a guy and it doesn't matter, or do we keep his rights? And that was referring to Mortone again, or
Mhm.
was okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and 100% would keep his rights too. It's where you're going to play. You're going to play at a junior level, or you're going to play in a Canadian Hockey League, you're going to play in the American Hockey League, or you're making the roster. Now, Porter did have some intentions of maybe not committing to an NCAA program and really gunning for the NHL, and that was on the table. But I think ultimately it's a good decision. Spend at least a year or two there, right? And then I'm telling you, I mean, that now you're talking a guy that could equally match Mitchkoff's skill set and bring another puppy, another stud to the table.
Absolutely. And that's
Mhm.
something that I think Mitchkov really needs. He needs a partner in crime.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's a lot of people who think the NCAA is turning into a better development league than going back to juniors or playing in the AHL. You're going to get better competition, and regardless, the Flyers have his rights for 3 years before he becomes a UFA. So he essentially has 3 years to decide if he's going to sign his ELC or not. Which after this year, I think after this collegiate year, if he feels like he's ready, he could essentially sign his ELC and be with the Flyers to end the season. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. This could be one of those things where he just wants to see what the NCAA does, and then he just sees how the competition is, and if he feels like it's not up to par, he feels like he's ready for the next level. Come the end of the NCAA season, he could sign his ELC and be a Flyer.
Gotcha. Well, Jason's saying that's why I'm worried,
I got nothing
which
to worry about, cuz nothing to
I
worry about.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. If he's in the NCAA, it's all right. It's not a bad thing for him to be there. As for the starred ones, throw out swoopies from earlier, goalie situation. Obviously, we were talking about goaltending stuff a little bit earlier. And then Jason also said Fedotov trade means what?
Just
And
solidifies who's going to the NHL and who's playing in the AHL. That's all that does.
pretty much. And then Priz was saying franchise goalies are harder to find. That is very much true. It's not easy to find a franchise goalie. Sometimes you stumble into one, sometimes one is pretty obvious. So it can be a challenge. And
I
then
mean, I agree with that, but for the most part, I'm not giving up a guy who's a potential 1C for a guy who has potential to be a franchise goalie.
mm,
Especially when the Flyers have Carson Bjarnason, who yes has not really kind of turned into the goaltender that I thought that he was going to be, but right behind him you have Zavragan, who is playing out of this world. So trading a guy who's a potential 1C for another potential franchise goalie when you have a potential franchise goalie already in your system seems kind of silly. It seems kind of a waste. And again, it's going to continue to keep this need for a center position going.
well, if he brings the opportunity to bring something to Philly, if he has trade value, and you already have a logjam and you believe in the potential of another prospect is higher than the other, then you make those decisions. It's not easy, but you can't keep everybody. And sometimes you got to think a little bit more further down the road than what's going on right now.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable with the other goaltenders saying, hey, the other ones we think really have way more high of a ceiling, then you make that decision and you move forward with it.
How many times have we seen average goaltenders at best winning Stanley Cups because the team in front has been better?
That's true.
So, and that's kind of like my thing is with, especially with Zegras. This is a kid who has so much potential, and he hasn't even tapped it yet to really show off his ability, his play style, and really be a fan favorite here in Philadelphia. Did they give up a lot to get him? No, not really. You gave up Paling. That was your biggest piece. But this is a kid who has the potential to be a number one center. You can't give that up. You can't give that up, especially when you have goalies in the pipeline already.
Right. And let's see here. And then another goaltending one here that John was throwing out. John said, "So will Edmonton make a run after Carter?" Obviously, Carter Hart, from off my conversation, he is not going to be returning to Philadelphia. And I believe, Bri, you were the one who brought that up, that he's deciding to explore other opportunities, possibly in the NHL or elsewhere.
Yes, his agent actually called the Flyers and told them because of the situation, he wants a fresh start. He wants to go somewhere else, which I completely agree with. I think he should be. I think coming back here would be a distraction for the locker room. I think him coming back to Philadelphia would be not fair to the players in front of him, and I don't. I just think him with what he wants coming to Philadelphia is not an option. Um, he wants minutes, which he's not going to get here. He wants essentially with what he wants and what the Flyers are looking for, it's not going to match up. So it's smarter for him to go elsewhere. He says he doesn't want to play in Canada though, which is weird. He wants to stay in America. He wants to start. He wants playing time. He's not, like I said, he's not going to get that here. Some of the teams that make sense, maybe Vegas. I think they need a guy to platoon with Aiden Hill, so he'll get minutes there. He'll get minutes with Utah, which could be an option. I mean, they do have Vimilka and they do have Connor Ingram, who have both shown to be pretty decent goaltenders. So I mean, his options are going to be limited, but there's some options out there for him, and I think Edmonton is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, America-wise, I mean, like I said, I know it's not going to be playoff year at all. It's going to be a real baptism by fire. But if there really isn't that many options, he could always see if San Jose will take him. And the only reason I say that is it's a chance for him to kind of reestablish himself in the league. And if that's just a year where, okay, this is an opportunity for me to prove that I'm still capable as a goaltender, that I can come back to the NHL and put on a strong performance. If he snags some wins for the Sharks that they absolutely don't deserve, then that might be enough to convince people like, all right, maybe we should take a look at Hart and see what he can do. It could be one of those situations.
If he does indeed go to San Jose, I will give you my Flyers Hart jersey just so you can put like Sharks, like the Sharks emblem on it and adapt it into a jersey, so at least it gets some use.
Yeah, that'll give me an opportunity to learn sewing and everything.
Yeah.
So
that's the last time I'm gonna bring that up. I cry about that way too much.
It's no, it's a good opportunity for him. I think he deserves another shot, and I just wish him all the best. I mean, he wants a 2 to 3 year contract apparently too. So I mean, let him go somewhere else, sign that deal, and let him get back to work.
And if he doesn't want to go to Canada, I mean, there are capable spots for him to go in Canada. I mean, if he wanted to, he could have gone to. I mean, I wouldn't want to put him in Toronto. That would be kind of hard. But
I wouldn't put him there.
I wouldn't put him there. No, I wouldn't wish that on any goalie. But on top of that as well, I mean, even though Dustin Wolf is a phenomenal goaltender, he could have gone to Calgary, and I think he would have been fine. Even if he was platooning with Wolf, Wolf probably would have still taken most of the minutes. But I don't think it would have been a bad situation for him if he was just trying to get himself back into the NHL groove. Might actually do him a lot of good. Could have gone to another spot. Could have gone to Edmonton. Edmonton's always fishing for goaltenders. So, I mean, he has options. Will those options offer? I don't know.
I like the Utah suggestion because you can play very remotely, low like
Hmm.
media, right? And you could quietly win yourself a Vesna, like real quietly out there in Utah. Vegas, on the other hand, that makes a lot of noise, and that could cause a relapse, man. You might have out on the strip one night, just we won't go there.
But
Oh man.
Well, I mean, if he shouldn't go to Sin City, I mean, another team he might have the opportunity in, he could go to Columbus and go to the Blue Jackets. I mean, the Jackets, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't have goalies, but it might not be a terrible option for
Well, they
them.
got one more now.
Well, yeah,
Right.
the Mers Lincolns and Fedotov are going to be their NHL guys. So
I mean,
kind of.
yeah, boy, that would be weird though. If like Hart winds up in Columbus and he actually boots Fedotov out of the spot, I'd be like, oh wow, you have two former Flyers fighting over who's going to be playing behind Mers Lincolns. What the hell's going on?
I mean, somebody said Minnesota. I thought Minnesota kind of doesn't really make sense.
Didn't they have?
They have Gustafson, who had a really good
Yeah.
year, and they have Jesper Wallstat. So I don't see Minnesota. Oh, you know who it was? It was Dylan. Dylan said Minnesota.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Gotcha.
if we're
What about what's St. Louis's tandem? It's
Hofer and Bennington.
maybe he could work with Bennington. No.
Joe Hofer's their future.
All right. What about LA?
Darcy Kemper.
I mean, Kemper's not bad, but I mean, might be good to have a platoon with him. My opinion on that, but
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just don't think that Kemper wants to lose minutes to somebody else.
no, I'm sure he doesn't. I mean, what goalie does?
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, Carter has the potential for interest. Will that interest come through in the NHL? That remains to be seen. I mean, we're getting close to the beginning of the season, so who knows? Maybe somebody will come calling him.
Oh, they will. They will. He can. I believe the timeline is he can sign with the team on October 1st. I think he can work out with the team on October 15th, and then December 1st he's eligible to start playing in those games.
Right.
So I think that's the timeline. The 15th I'm a little shaky on, but I know the 1st he can sign, and then December 1st he's all 5 of those guys are eligible to be back in the NHL.
All right then. So, do you see any of them going back to their teams?
No.
No, all of them are probably just going to have to go someplace else for a fresh start.
Fermenton already signed in Europe, so he's probably not coming back to NHL, and he actually came out of retirement to do that.
Well, then okay.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not saying never. I don't think they're going back to their teams. I think if they do sign in the NHL, they sign with other teams to get a fresh start.
All right. So let's see. John saying last start one here. He's saying, I'll ask the most crazy question. I know we need a center, but would the Flyers have cap space and trade value for Kirill Kaprizov?
I'll let one of you guys handle that one.
As much as I would like to bring Kirill the thrill here, I don't know if that's like we'd have to make we'd have to make some moves, like a lot of moves, because he's gonna want money. He's gonna want a lot of money. It ain't gonna be something that's gonna be just simple, So in the old NHL, No salary cap? Sure. I could totally see the Flyers trading for those rights and overpaying the shit out of them. But in today's NHL, I don't know. I mean, hey, listen, I would love to have Kirill Kaprizov here. I mean, that would be awesome, but I I just don't think it's feasible at this time.
I think it's very feasible. I'm on the opposite of the spectrum from you, Maddie. I think the Flyers are one of the favorites to potentially land Kaprizov when it comes contract time, because I think they're going to have that money, Maddie, because a lot of money's falling off the books as the cap increases. That could be the big prize free agent that comes in here that adds on to this rebuild that we're looking to get in the off season leading into 26-27, right? Maybe you follow that up with Quinn Hughes the following year, right? And then we really got some pin action going. But he'd be a great fit. We're building a really strong Russian connection. And I believe either the Hockey News or Broad Street Hockey said that the Flyers were one of the favorites to land him.
I mean, if that is the case, then wonderful. I'm so down with him being here. I'm just used to it being caution and holding pattern. So I'm used to that kind of take on things where it's like, yeah, it's not happening.
It's cool. It's cool because when I caught the news thread of this, right, just like that girl's Annie from Happy Gilmore 2, I creamed in my shorts. I was like, for real? In Philadelphia? Orange black? Let's go.
I mean, I will say this right now. If he was to come to Philadelphia, that would be a massive shot in the arm. I mean, Michkov was a shot of adrenaline. This would be a double dose of it because Kaprizov has NHL history under his belt that's been pretty well proven with playoff experience on top of it.
And this is a kid he's in the same situation as Michkov. So he's already been there. And, there's a lot of money being freed up again after this year, too. So I was looking at Puckpedia, just from the buyouts alone, you're freeing up almost $7 million there. You're losing Noah Juleson and Dennis Gilbert at the end of this year. You're also probably going to lose Rodrigo Abels. Delorier's contract's up after this year. Christian Dvorak's going to free up another $5 million there. So there's going to be money. Plus what Robbie said, the cap's going to go up. So, whether the rumors are true that he turned down that contract or not, he's going to get 16, 17 mil from somebody.
Oh, he certainly will.
And why not the Flyers?
Listen,
and then also part of the rule changes coming up. I'm not sure if it's effective for this season or next season, but doesn't that lower the max contract length too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yep.
So
7 years.
So I mean that makes it another feather in the cap of potentially inking him. And we're gonna get into it, Heather, in a bit. This is a eulogy for you.
Yes.
For your fandom of Fedotov and for Fedotov itself, because let's just face it, what happened the last time the Flyers sent a Russian goaltender to Columbus? It worked out pretty good, right?
For Columbus, sure. I mean, I will say this: when we did send, Bob off to Columbus, he kind of made them relevant. We got Mason in return, and did it compare? No. No, I didn't hate Mace though. I did not hate him when he was in a Flyers jersey, but it was still like he's definitely not Bob.
Yeah, but at least we got the Stone Cold Steve Austin action, right?
Yes,
we got breaking.
We got Stone Cold Steve Mason, so we did get that. Let's see. Brad Christ is saying, do we get a draft pick in return for Fedotov and someone else in return for the trade?
Not someone else. It was a 2026 sixth round pick.
Ah, gotcha. And let's see. And I think that was pretty much that one. And yep, there we go. Okay, so we're caught up. So now that we've got that taken care of, I guess it's time we talk about it. So yeah, Fedotov is now officially wearing a blue-red jersey, a blue, red, and white jersey. for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yes, Heather, we know. We're here for you. If you need to get your feelings out in the chat, we'll be your support group right now, But Fedotov Anonymous aside, we have an interesting situation with the goaltending. Do you guys feel like Fedotov is the last goalie that the Flyers are going to wind up trading off here? Or do you feel like since there's such a logjam in goal, that you kind of feel like potential here, if someone really isn't adding up, that they might just send them out too and just keep on seeing when the next goalie's coming around? Like, do you guys feel like that might be something the Flyers might start doing as they get further along?
I don't think so, because I think this is the move they needed to do. They had 3 goalies for only 2 spots,
Right.
and now they solved that the issue. And I think this is a great move by Danny. I mean, not only do the Flyers shed Fedotov's $3+ million contract, Brian said we get the 6th-round pick in 2026 as well. And now you'll have Kolosov, and that's a key thing. We weren't really sure, right? There's always that sense of disconnect there, right? But he reported as he should. And let's face facts, Fedotov, because he got delayed by Russia coming over, it really thwarted his development to the point where he went from potentially being a star, if not a franchise guy, to basically a backup at best. And that's what he's going to serve for Columbus. But I just feel that this is a feather in the cap for the goalie pipeline, because you give Kolosov another year here to maturate. He's still unproven, only 23 years old. He's still developing. But his reporting in the camp, don't kid yourself, it really put the wheels in motion for this trade. Now they have the 2 young pups in the High Valley behind the 2 NHL ready netminders in Arison and Vladar. And I just feel that this right now is set up for both who's going to win that battle in the development camp for the Phantoms. Is it going to be Bjornsson? Because, yeah, okay, you could say what you want. He hasn't done this and he hasn't done that yet, but he's still young too, and he still has time to be that guy, right? And I'm not ready to give up on him, right? Kolosov could be that answer. Zavragan could be that answer as well, right? But in the end, now you got a clear pipeline, and if one of these young guys is ready to come up, then maybe you dish a Vladar, you dish a Sam Arison to clear that room at that time. But Fedotov, Heather, he will be missed. He's going to be 29 years old, though, come November, right before my birthday, which is cool. So it's my compadre. But I think it's just clear he didn't fit, Brian. He didn't fit in the future plans here with Philadelphia. So this was the move that they needed to do, and it's good housekeeping.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what it came down to. Was we knew where once Vladar was signed, they kind of set in stone, or like you were saying, set the wheels in motion that somebody's getting moved. The question was always going to be, who was it going to be? Was Kolosov coming back? Was Bjarnason going to be able to handle a full season in the AHL? Is he ready to handle a full season in the AHL? So some of those questions have been answered over the last couple of months, and they saw that Fedotov had an opportunity to move Fedotov, and yeah, you probably maybe could have gotten a little bit more, but like you said, 29 years old, it's going to be a backup. There's really not a ton of extra value you could probably squeeze out of that. But I mean, you asked Columbus to take on his entire contract,
right?
Unfortunately, that's going to lower the draft pick that you're gonna get. So you're going to get more of like a fair value for that. But just it kind of opens up the logjam a little bit. So it's going to allow these guys to get the playing time, to be able to develop in that playing time, to allow Zavragan to still have that time in the KHL to get himself situated before coming over here. And hopefully by that time, Urson's in another contract year. He's an RFA at the end of this year. So we're going to figure out what they're going to do with him. They're going to figure out if Koloslav is good enough, maybe they move Erson and open up that spot for Zavragan to come over next year. So this opens up a couple different doorways that the Flyers can wind up going as far as goaltending goes. Or to even what Priz was saying earlier, maybe they bring someone in from the outside again and try and go after a goaltending prospect. So, you never know what's going to happen. But with Fedotov out of the mix now, it opens things up a little bit more for the Flyers. And honestly, I think last year running essentially 3 goaltenders was a little bit of a joke. But don't have to worry about that this year. It's Erison and Vladar.
I mean, for the most part, I think we only really ran 3 goalies for a few months, and then after that, it just kind of faded out. It was more then injuries started piling up, so then that's what ultimately led to Urson's just pretty much the starter, and we might get Oscarov. Oscar, God damn it, I keep getting him mixed up. Kolosov.
Love Oscarov here.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would too. I mean, I love the fact he's in San Jose, but it'd be awesome if he was in Philly as well. He could be at 2 places at once, right? Goalies can do that. They're amazing.
3,000 miles apart? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's not hard. Jeez. How dare we doubt goaltending's ability?
Get some mitosis going on or whatever the hell that is. Splitting atoms and shit.
Yeah. Hey, listen, didn't you know that I was a physicist on the side?
That's science stuff.
Yeah, that's science mumbo jumbo, history all the way. Anyway.
I actually remembered that mitosis does mean that. Oh my goodness.
So some of that high school biology did manage to creep in there, didn't it?
Not burn that brain cell. Not at all.
That was the first one I wanted to go.
It replicated. See, that's what happened. Yeah.
From the mitosis.
Yeah. So, science aside, definitely it's an opportunity for a young player to step up. It's an opportunity for a prospect to really get the opportunity to step into a new role. And, it's exciting for that. It's exciting for the Flyers to see a new young player come into the role to try and say, like, hey, I want the spot. I want the crease. It's like, all right, prove it. Let's see what you can do. And if they can do it, great. That just means that is one last thing. That is one last thing on the to-do list. So I am all here for it at the end of the day. And hey, Fedotov, hey, they appreciate what you did for us. I know it probably wasn't easy. Both the year you got brought over and thrown to the Wolves, and then the following year when you were part of a trio. But still, thank you for your efforts. We appreciate it.
Thank you for
nothing. You said only for a few months, and that was a day too many.
Yeah.
When you have 3 goaltenders, you have no goaltenders. But I mean, I'll give every cliche out of the book. But no, we did see brief instances from Koloslav where making spectacular saves, not just the average save, but the spectacular save that steals you hockey games. So if the rest of his game comes around, you get a tighter defense in front of you, there's a lot of possibilities here where I feel that this organization's set from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of being set from the inside, before we close out today's festivities, I do believe that you had the D-men available for us to take a look at for training camp. Right, Robbie?
See.
All right, then. Let's take a look, shall we?
Oops.
Damn it, Brian.
Sorry.
You had one job.
Here now.
Let's see here. Emil Andre. We got Oliver Bonk. Obviously, big focus on Oliver. Jamie Drysdale. Hopefully, he can avoid the injured list. Denny Gilbert. We also have Spencer Gill. Adam Ginning.
Making some noise.
Yep.
Spencer is, yep.
Helga Granz. Noah Jolson. who I think is another one that, came over in a trade. No, free agent. That's right. He was a free
Yeah.
agent.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he has a shot to start with Risto hurt. He could he could be that 6th or 7th D man.
right. So we probably could see him in a Flyers jersey. Hunter McDonald. After the previous runs with McDonald's, I'm surprised we brought in another one to the defensive line. Let's see, Austin Moline, Andre Mondu, and we also have Ty Munson, Ethan Sampson, Travis Sanheim, obviously, Nick Seeler. And then we've got Luke Vloswick, Cam York, and Igor Zamula. And I did not realize Igor Zamula was undrafted. Interesting.
Mhm.
So out of that, I mean, obviously the regulars definitely they're going to have a highlight. Like you were saying, Spencer Gill, Oliver Bonk, definitely another one that everyone's going to have eyes on. Um, it would be interesting to see what we get out of them in this particular camp. Are there other names that you guys, really are honing in on?
I mean, defense is a little bit harder because you're pretty much set there for the most part. I mean, obviously, Emil Andre is going to be a guy to watch. I think Bonk winds up in the AHL for a year, which I don't think is going to hurt him at all because he's going to get the steady playing minutes, and that's something that a lot of people have to keep in mind. Like, if I know I want Bonk up on the roster too, but with the way things are right now, it's going to be tough to get him the amount of minutes he's going to need to continue to develop. But I mean, with Emil Andre, I think takes that last spot. I think Juleson for at least the first month to 2 months, however long Risso winds up missing, which I think Danny said was about that time frame. Juleson
Right.
will be, like Robbie said, that 7th D man. So those are really the only names that I don't want to say are intriguing, but I think are going to be the guys who are going to probably have the best chance of making any kind of impact with this roster.
Right. And to piggyback off of the Bonk thing, like, again, we have to keep in mind too that it's like injuries will happen, opportunities will arise for roster spots to be filled. What's to say that if Bonk's doing well in the AHL, that they don't give a call to Lehigh and say like, "Hey, let's bring Bonk up and let's get him his first taste of the NHL, even if it's just for a handful of games." It's like it'll get him some experience, which I think is very possible for this season. So I think that's if we're going to see Bonk in a Flyers jersey, if he doesn't just absolutely crush it and manage to make the team right out of camp, I think that's where you see him at the end of the day, just popping up for that quick cup of coffee and then, back down to Lehigh Valley and, back to developing.
Yeah. I mean, dark horse to keep an eye on is Helb Grans because he's got that size 6'4". He could also fill a Risto role, but boys, who I'm really looking for to make a big statement come training camp and for the regular season, for that matter, is Cam York. He's got a chip on the shoulder. He's got something to prove. It's time to go.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I know he definitely feels like the spotlight was on him on that one. And it's like, all right, then. But it seems like it's fueling him. And that's good. It's like, good.
Yeah.
Let it fuel you.
Get that snarl.
And yeah, absolutely. And also, you just got paid.
Right.
So
that as well.
it's time to start. It's time to start earning your keep here, bro. Which I think he will, because I like what Rick Tocchet does for defensemen. I like what Rick Tocchet does for a lot of players. But I think I'm with you 100%. The guy who really needs to step up defensively has to be Cam York this year. He really is too good for what he's been putting on the ice, and I think getting Torts out of there was the best thing for him. So,
right. And let's see here. Then for goaltenders wise, obviously, as we talked about earlier, there is a logjam, and what a surprise when you see some of these names. Carson Bjarnson, of course. Sam Urson, we all know Urson's going to be logging most of the minutes as usual. Joey Costanzo, Alexei Kolosov, Yaniv Peretz, Keith Petruzzelli, and Dan Vladar. So far, the tandem out of this group would be most likely Urson and Vladar. But what do you think? Do you think Kolosov has an opportunity to show up?
No.
No?
Let's say he's posting a 930 save percentage in the AHL come November and the goaltending is struggling in Philadelphia, then you might see him, right? But I think it's strongly Arison and Vladar's net at the onset up until maybe the trade deadline. And I think this is great because Kolosov got what he requested. He got his opportunity at the NHL level, right? Earn your keep now, right? Prove that you can do it. Prove you can do it with Lehigh, right? Bjornsson, I really feel you're going to see him there for the full year. He needs a full season with the Phantoms. Joey Costanzo with that amateur tryout. That's the guy I'm just want to see at practice, right? Because that could be potentially your emergency goaltender. So it's good to get a little familiar, you know. But those are the nut jobs that I want to have a beer with. You know what I mean?
Right. Who knows? Maybe Costanzo winds up being that goalie, just out of nowhere, just showing up. You're like, holy shit, where'd this guy come from?
I mean, realistically,
2.0.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you never know. But I mean, I think last year humbled Kolosov. I think that he came in here with an ego. He got his ego checked hard. And I think he's going to take the time to let himself develop and just kind of see where things go. Like I said, Arison's on a 1-year deal. He could be essentially could have been traded. He could wind up trading Vladar. Vladar's on a 2-year deal. So there's no long-term commitment to either one of these guys. So we'll just see how things kind of play out this year. I do. Again, I said this at the beginning of the show. I'm actually going to close this out here. So I said this at the beginning of the show. I think those two are going to be your best opportunity right now with how things look to get this team back to the playoffs. Night, Heather.
Again,
yes, nice to get you back in the chat.
It is nice to see you back. Sorry about the trade. You can roast Danny for it later.
But I hear you, Life. I hear you, Life. That's why we've been kind of sketchy coming on and off. But it's the beginning of the season, boys. Training camp starts this Thursday, and as Brian quite eloquently put in the email, it's time to run the gauntlet. Let's go.
Time to grind, boys. Time to grind. Yeah. This is go time from here on out.
The season is here.
I will be on my deathbed, and I will still be here. So just letting you boys know that.
Well, I don't have that kind of dedication, but I respect.
So,
I mean, if I'm on my deathbed, I'm probably not going to be on here. If
I think you will. You proved that the other night. I think you will.
I don't know, man. I think we'd be filming it from your deathbed. It'd be like, you know what? At the end of the day, we might get the highest views we've ever gotten. Yeah, it's just like
I'm ordained in nomine Patris Spiritus
Be wearing my rosary the entire time, holding it in my hand. Got my cross right here. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, give the last rites at the very end.
Be doing the entire show like this. Nobody will ever see me.
Yeah. If you stop talking, then we know what happened.
Oh, no. He passed out.
It's like, damn, we were so close. So close to getting through the whole show without it.
Change your avatar to the heartbeat. And then all of a sudden it goes quiet. Did we lose him?
It's like,
no, he's there.
Clear.
You'll never know. You'll never know. Because it'll just be the jiggly lines. It'll never go flat. So we'll never know. Or I'll set them up to be flat. And you'll never know. Either way. It'll be a mystery. Only I'll know.
that'll prove to me it's like, oh, Bry was always dead inside. All right, cool. Point proven.
Yeah, that seems about right. Do I have a really? Where's my avatar? I think I still have some in here. Do we have that? Where is it? That's all right. I'll look for it after the show.
Oh, okay. So with that being said, was there anything else we wanted to throw out there before we signed off tonight?
I do have a quote from Danny from the press conference earlier today.
Go right ahead.
And I like it. It actually got me a little pumped up.
Nice.
So, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the vets being on the team and they're jumping at the bit. He said nobody can be comfortable or happy with what they've done in the past. They've got to keep getting better and better. And that includes all the veterans because our young guys are starting to push and they want more. They are hungry for more. So that got me ready to run through a wall. I'm ready for the season to start. I can't wait for Thursday. Let's go.
Love it. That is Van.
The best part of that was the rah part.
Well, I can't really scream. I got people around.
So
if I was in my own house, I wouldn't care. But
gotta own that shit, Brian. Own it.
If it wasn't 10:15 at night, yeah, I would.
Oh, what's up, Wills?
Willie.
So I will say that's a great quote. It's that sort of, all right, boys, let's stop pussyfooting around. Let's get this shit done. We got shit to do. And that means moving up in the standings and being a team that is not to be taken lightly at the end of the day. So that's what the Flyers are going to do. And you know what? I'm here for it. Let's be it. Let's be that team that you do dread facing. Sure, we may not necessarily be in the playoffs at the end of the year, but you will not have it easy when you face us. At the end of the day, you will earn it if you're going to try. So with that, and yes, Wills, we are hoping for the playoffs.
You're not alone, brother.
So that'll do it for this edition of Flyers Talk. And before we also say off, thoughts and prayers to Robert Redford, who sadly passed away today. So
Roy Hobbs.
I know.
My man. Well done.
Crazy to think about. But, I mean, he was, what, in his 80s? Was he? Yeah,
89, I want to say.
Yeah, he almost made it to 90. Wow, it's crazy.
I mean, think about it. He was in his 80s when he was doing the Marvel movies.
That's true, wasn't he?
When he did Winter Soldier, I think he may have been in his early 80s at that point. But
89.
Yeah, amazing actor. I mean, my favorite role is always going to be his role in The Natural. But there's so many different roles that he was in, and just an amazing actor. And movie world's just never going to be the same.
No, you're right. So, thoughts and prayers. May he rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers to the family. And with that, folks, that'll do it for this edition of Flyers Talk A2D. We hope everybody had a good time, as we always do. And next week, preseason wouldn't be starting just yet. I don't think next week. That'll be the week after, if I stand correct. Or no, it will.
19th or the 21st. I can't remember. It was one of those 2 days.
No, it will, because the 23rd next week, the Flyers will be facing Montreal in a preseason game. So, don't know if we will be able to react to it.
Oh, Robbie. You're going to make me cry on here.
Nice.
I'm quick. That's what the ladies say.
So, we will...
What a disappointment.
Heather's saying the 21st. Heather, I thought you left. I mean, not that we're mad that you're still here, but...
Yeah, the 21st, I think they have the Islanders.
Yep. That's what we said at the beginning. Yep.
So that'll be the first one. So next week, They will be facing Montreal that day. Like I said, they'll be in Montreal, so they might not have it on the telly. Possibly, we'll see. But you know what? I might be able to pull it up on ESPN Plus or what have you. So either way, we might still be able to do reactions to it. Either way, though, we thank everybody for joining us for Flyers Talk A2D. As always, a blast with you guys and the fam, and brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the Dr. Paul Vidal. We hope that you all stay safe and stay healthy out there. And next week, the preseason will officially have begun. Excitement in the air, opportunities for young players to possibly seize the moment, carpe diem, and take a spot on the Flyers roster. We'll see if they can do it. So we'll see you guys next week right here on A2D Radio. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the bell, so that way you can get notified about everything we got going on here. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace and love, everyone.